Ahoy mates, welcome back to another video with your boy. And I'm gonna start a podcast, guys, where I'm gonna talk about all things sporty. Gonna get my opinion on things. Gonna get my opinion on a lot of things, not gonna lie. Some of the things I say may be controversial. You might like it and you might not like it, but it's my opinion. So yeah, man, I hope you guys stick around for it, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's get into it. Ahoy! So, as we all know, this past weekend, the weekend of the 28th of October, was the Rugby World Cup final. And I love rugby. I play rugby and I support rugby. I'm a diehard rugby fan. And the final was between South Africa and New Zealand. Now I'm in between, I would say, because I reside in South Africa, but as you can see, I support New Zealand. And in my opinion, I would say this is one of the most, if not the most controversial World Cup finals that there has been. Like, so many calls that could have been different, so many. I'm so emotional right now, because I love this sport. And like, I do understand sometimes that refs do make mistakes and whatnot, but I do also believe that you need to learn from them, and making multiple mistakes and clearly showing the world what you are doing is wrong. And that is why I think it is good for me to start this podcast while talking about this, because a lot of the things I'm going to say are going to be controversial. But the main thing I want to say is in Barnes. Ja, dan rit hij in z'n eigen, maar hij net echt beliep.
No moet zus.
Die. Yo. Like before, what I say gets taken into a negative light. Let me just say, Rassie Erasmus and what is his assistant coach?
Ninaber. Nee, hy is assistant.
Wie?
Rassie.
En wie? Wie is die ander coach?
Ninaber is die coach.
Ninaber. Rassie en Ninaber, nee. There's 7-1 split in this final. It was immaculate, I'm not gonna lie. The goal of the 7-1 split is to improve your defense, and the Springboks defense in the final was amazing. You cannot take that away from the Springboks. That is their style of play, defensive, and yeah, all of that. And what Rassie and Ninaber planned, it was good and it worked effectively. But the world could see that the All Black style of play outplayed the 7-1 split. And that's why I say what I'm saying might sound controversial, because yes, I am praising the Springboks defense, but the creativity and the flair and the style of the All Blacks play was just better, and anyone or everyone could see it. And a lot of the Springbok supporters are saying that the All Blacks couldn't handle the style of play or the type of play, but the All Blacks played with 14 men for like 90%, 95% of the game. But yet, we dominated in stats. We did play better. Like, I'm not gonna say the Springboks don't deserve the World Cup, because on points they won, yes. So congrats to them, congrats to SA Rugby. But we all know it wasn't fair, and I know all sport is like that, it's not fair always. But I just hate the fact that the Springboks supporters are now
Comparing
themselves to a primed All Black team that played 2011 to 2015 and even after 2015. This team of the Springboks are comparing themselves to that All Black team. Like, the level of difference in the two sides the level of difference is immaculate. If you know rugby, like especially for my guys that play rugby. I'm not speaking from a spectator's point of view. Like, you don't know how it is inside of the field. If you know how it is inside of the field, I'm talking to you lot. And also for my rugby connoisseurs, like those die-hard fans that literally take time to study the play. I'm talking to you guys. If you know style of play, if you know the grind, if you know teamwork, and if you know sacrifice, then you do know that the quality rugby that the 2011 to 2015 All Black team had, it's ways ahead of this Springbok team. Like, yes, this team is great. This team has done what no other Springbok team has done before. But you can't compare this with the type of rugby Hansen's team played. What's Hansen's name?
Steve.
Steve Hansen. Let's just talk about Steve Hansen for a second. Steve Hansen. Quality. Oh, let's not even talk about Steve Hansen. Let's talk about the Springbok hero. Like, I'm not gonna lie, when this guy came into the Springbok squad, I was gassed because it was upsetting to me that he wasn't in initially. And his name is Andre Pollard, bro. Andre Pollard, great player. But Manie Leboeck was hard done by not playing in the final. And also another reason why you can't compare this Springbok team to 2011's or 2015's even All Black team. If you look for a player who is Andre Pollard and Manie Leboeck combined, like the best of both worlds combined, and then you are looking at a primed Daniel Carter. Like, me bro, if you talk about skill, flair, consistency in kicking, consistency in style of play, consistency in form, and let me just remind you lot as well, all the Springbok supporters out there, Daniel Carter went into that World Cup with a knee injury. And that man literally kicked the Springboks out. And I would even go as far as to say that this Springbok team mightn't even be as good as that Springbok team. Because that Springbok team also had it all. They had a Patrick Lambie, bro. Paraina Bana. Prime Jesse Creel. Yo, bro. Like, as I said, I support rugby. I love rugby. And it's heartbreaking for me to witness a Rugby World Cup final. Like, you can ask my friends and my family how hyped I was for this final. And just seeing how it went down, like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not disappointed in New Zealand one bit. Not one bit. Like, I can go on for hours speaking about how proud I am of them for playing the way they played. Like, but it is just heartbreaking for me to see this happen to the game that I love. Like, in my opinion, I think I know why the ref made the decisions he made, or the ref was so controversial. And I won't say it's because the Springboks bribed him or whatever, but what I do think, and this is probably the most controversial thing that I'm about to say, but I do think world rugby in itself is very afraid of what lies in store for the All Blacks. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I never liked Ian Foster as the All Black coach or in the All Black. Like, he was good when he was under or with Steve Hansen, but I never liked Ian Foster because what he has done to the style of play for New Zealand, it's just been very heartbreaking to see, man. The way we play is not how we normally play, and it's very disappointing to see your team week after week or month after month, year after year, whenever international break comes, not seeing the same type of play, the same style of play, the same type of rugby you fell in love with, not seeing that anymore. And I do understand that with a new coach, his style of play comes into, you get me, but it's so disappointing, man. Like, we were there. I'm not gonna lie, we were there, but we came down. And the 28th, the final, we were there again. Like, Ian Foster, he came through. His coaching leveled up tremendously in a short period of time, or in this World Cup time. And yeah, I'm sorry that he has to leave, but I do think the reason why World Rugby is scared is because of what's coming. Like, the dominance that this coach had at the Crusaders, the dominance that he displayed whilst coaching Canterbury Crusaders, whilst coaching Canterbury Crusaders, is like none other, my bro. And the guy I'm talking about is Scott Razor Robertson. And I'm telling you now, what you saw in 2011 to 2015, and even after 2015 from the All Blacks, it was sublime. It was so good that rugby became boring for World Rugby, and it became too predictable because everyone knew when push comes to shove, the All Blacks will provide. And with a coach like Scott Robertson coming in, World Rugby is scared that if we won this World Cup, the next few years, or for Scott Robertson's tenure, will be the same story. That's why they couldn't give us this. So yeah, Springboks and SA Rugby, as a citizen of South Africa, very proud, my bro. Rassie, your plan worked. But what I want to see is, what is South Africa gonna do when Rassie and Ninaber leave now? Because I have a very good feeling of what the future holds for the All Blacks. Like, Ian Foster left us on a high. Like, yeah, we lost the World Cup by 1 point, but we were still on a high. The way we played, the individual brilliance of the players, and not even the individual brilliance. What was so lovely for me to see is the play we had, like the way the players gelled. It was just, it's a thing of dreams, bro. It's not something you just see in everyday rugby, and that is why I support the All Blacks. Like, they bring you things you can only dream about. They display it. It's like a real life fairy tale or a real life fantasy for a real rugby connoisseur, someone that enjoys the game. That has been what the All Blacks do since rugby started. And that is why I think the Springboks developed their style of play to be so defensive. And that is why the Springboks for me are the best defensive side. And that is why the game between the All Blacks and the Springboks is always going to be so amazing, because they counteract each other. And seeing how good we performed and what could have been or what should have been, it is very heartbreaking and very disappointing that it isn't like that. And every Springbok supporter can say whatever they want, but if you do know rugby and if you do know the game, you saw who outplayed who was better than who. Yeah, the points say a different story, but there are many controversial things that happened in that game, and that is why I'm going to say it's not the fault, or the Springboks are not at fault, but I'm very disappointed in a ref like Wayne Barnes. Like, he came into the World Cup final being the most experienced referee of all time, or the most experienced referee among these guys, or these current refs, to make those types of decisions or make those types of calls. And it's very sad, my bro, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, Uncle Cyril, we are waiting for that holiday, my bro. And hou die krag nog 'n bietjie aan. Safe.